I love that you guys are here together today.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
great.
Thank you. Yeah, we're together all the time, so I'm glad you were able to.
Most of the
take
time,
us
because
on.
we're also producing partners and
Mama and daughter and mama.
Yes, yes, that's right.
How
Mama,
long have you been producing partners?
a while, right?
Well, I formed K&K Productions Inc. almost 20 years ago because I was producing a lot of Katharine's one-woman shows. And Jennifer is all part of that. My youngest daughter is also part of the company.
Yeah.
And but she was studying acting and studying with Mike Nichols and doing theater. And then she was also an accomplished pianist and classical pianist. And so she spent a lot of time playing that piano too. So she wasn't really ready to be joining us in the full-fledged way like we were doing. But she's being introduced now, because now she's ready to be part of it. But she's always been part of the company.
It's been for a while, yeah.
Yeah, we've had it for a long time.
Well,
And then Kramer's Films That Changed the World, which is about going on 12 years, that came out of the company. So she basically produces
the
that
DBA
as well.
under Kat Kramer's Films That Changed the World, is a DBA under K&K Productions Inc.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's for Kramer.
But it'll
that's
be
for
a
Kramer and
nonprofit
Kramer.
soon.
It's not for Kat and Karen. It's for Kramer and Kramer.
right.
I said, please, that's just too cute. No, it's Kramer and Kramer.
Again, I'm just taking in both of you, and Karen, again, how I mentioned you have this light about you, and you had these two beautiful daughters, and you decided to go up to Seattle. So what was the main reason you wanted to move from Hollywood to go to Seattle?
When you're in the industry, it is such an unnatural in so many ways, but just being a human being, it's a different kind of life. And we lived in Beverly Hills, like a lot of people who are in this industry do. But it isn't the world. It's very privileged. People feel that's the way it's going to be when they get married or move away or whatever, and it's not Beverly Hills. So Stanley and I, being maybe not such Hollywood insiders, but more independent by nature and doing the stories we were telling, of course, we'd often talked about not raising them in Beverly Hills.
Right.
And because I was looking at the birthday parties when kids were attending birthday parties, and it seems like the parents were trying to outdo, each parent was trying to outdo the other by having these lavishest parties, having movie stars helping their children onto the rides or whatever. They would do these lavish things, And I didn't come from that, neither did Stanley, and we never allowed that for our children, but we didn't want them to be exposed to that. So we went to Seattle. Stanley and I would go on our anniversary every year to some place we'd never been. And this particular year, we went to Seattle, and it was raining, of course. And Stanley wanted to go to the Dome. They had the Dome there, which had all the games because it rains all the time in Seattle. And he wanted to go and see that, which of course was not my interest, but naturally I said, of course we'd go. We arrived on a Friday, went to the Dome, and sat right next to the Nordstroms. Now the Nordstroms at that time just had a little lingerie store. They weren't the Nordstroms they became, but very generous and sweet family. And they said, well, Mrs. Kramer, would you like to see our architecture? It's very different than what you have in Los Angeles. And I said, well, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I'd like to do that. And Stanley, Mr. Nordstrom said, Stanley, I'd like to take you to see. And so I said, fine. So I went with Mrs. Nordstrom on Saturday, and I saw these houses. And I saw this one house that was up on a bluff overlooking the lake with all these beautiful trees, and the air was so beautiful. This house was built in 1910. It was like being in a Post magazine. It was like a different world. A 3-story, like Victorian kind of house. And so I saw this house, We've always talked about moving, and would you like to see it? So Sunday morning, we went to see it, and Stanley always spoiled me, I have to say. He always would spoil me. He knew that I was very intrigued by this house and even Seattle itself. And believe me, it was not the Seattle it's become. Seattle's become very cosmopolitan today. It was very backward in many ways. at that time, but very sweet. And he bought the house for me.
But that
So,
isn't entirely
no,
the story,
yeah,
though,
no,
because
so
he actually made a film up there.
no, that's not true.
Yeah, The Runner Stumbles was made in Washington State.
Wait a minute. We moved there and we made the movie there.
Yes, yes.
So that's what happened when we moved there. We
Yeah.
moved there, and Stanley had one more film that he owed the studio. So we made The Runner Stumbles up there entirely in Seattle, which had never happened before.
Right.
They had done some little things, but nothing, nobody. But we found that little town of Roslyn, which a major series moved in after we did and did the whole thing. We kind of opened, sadly, in a way, I think, we opened up Seattle for calling it Hollywood North. And
Yeah.
it was such a pleasure not to see. I mean, I never saw a Mercedes, or there was never any traffic. The air was so pure.
Oh.
It was like a virginal town, like the 30s. It was like being in the 30s, living back in the 30s.
Well, the
And
Emerald City.
It was
That's
that,
true.
and it was really, so when I did, I cast the film, and it was meant for Oscar Werner, but Oscar was in an accident, couldn't do it at the last minute, so I was looking for people to, and Stanley said, what about Dick Van Dyke? And I said, oh no, he would be wrong to play this role. I love Dick Van Dyke, but he'd be wrong in this role. Stanley said, well, it wouldn't be any fun otherwise. He loved casting people that were not typecast.
Yeah.
So Dick did the role, and he was really wonderful in it, opposite Kathleen Quinlan, who was a young, aspiring, and doing very well as an actress. It's really a true story based on a priest and a nun who had fallen in love, and she was murdered. And they thought the priest had done it, and he had to go to trial. And of course, he wasn't guilty. But anyway, the thing is, it was a beautiful film. It did not get the raves that I thought it would get because they just couldn't accept Dick in the role.
Mm.
But I cast a lot of wonderful actors in that film in Seattle. In fact, our children were in the film as well. And my stepdaughter was in the film, and my stepson, although I don't like to call them stepsons or stepdaughters, but they were in the film as well. And so it was a family affair, so I say. And but we spent about 13, 14 years there. And Kat, who always wanted show business, always wanted it. We wanted to get her out of that. We wanted to give her a normal upbringing so she wouldn't, just. And of course, when she got there, we didn't know this, but next to New York, Seattle's one of the great theater towns in the country. So she just went to work. She just went to work. And Jennifer wanted to be an equestrian and go to the Olympics as a jumper. And so she had an opportunity to train there and was accepted, actually. But we couldn't go to New York. And Stan did not want to move to New York, but she was accepted with the American team.
So I did move to New York for a while.
But then she moved to New York to study acting. Yeah, to study acting.
And worked and then came back here. We all moved back here. But it's interesting because Mom talked about her career but not acting again. But we actually did a favor for a filmmaker, Michelle Arthur. We did a bit in her short film called Fate Shadow. Then she made a feature out of it called Fate Shadow, the whole story, and that's been doing the festival circuit and winning awards. And so it was just made like a couple of years ago, so she did kind of get back into it.
Well, I wanted
So
to give
she might,
a favor to her because she was so passionate about making this film, and I wanted to help her. That's me. So we did do it. We were even nominated for.
We got best mother-daughter or best acting duo, not even mother-daughter, like best team.
Now, where can we see this film?
It's not available because it hasn't been released yet. It's only on the festival circuit, and then the feature also has just been winning at a lot of festivals, and it's continuing to.
Yeah, it is.
I think it'll be released at the end of the year.
Nice.
So so we did that together.
Right.
But basically, we're just working on projects in the company,
projects, yeah.
and I'm acting and doing my own thing. I have a lot of my own projects separate, but they're still under the banner of K&K, and she still oversees them.
Yeah,
There's
so
just a lot of
we're a very, very busy, active family, let me tell you. And Jennifer, with her situation now, she's going to make her second film, which K&K Productions Inc. produced. And we'll produce the next one. And it's a series of famous composers and stories built out of their music, like Fantasia, but not for children. And it's also for adults, mostly for adults, but it's live action, not animated.
But I also want to act in other people's projects, not always ours. I want to be you know, involved with other projects and other.
Well, like Turnover and
Right, and that's
Yeah.
the, you know,
Child of
even
the
beyond
70s.
that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
also, yeah, civil disobedience and other things.
Well,
you know.
Linda helped Jennifer. I watched her work, you know, when I was on the set just once or twice, and I thought she'd be great for Jennifer's first directorial debut, actually. So Linda was very gracious, and she lent us her whole crew, and we found the location, and we shot. We did it in 6 hours, actually, in Idlewild. Yeah, we shot in 6 hours because the sun was going down behind the mountain.
Oh,
So
what
outdoors.
amazing place to film.
Yeah, so Linda's involved with Nakusa.
So she was involved with Nakusa, and but she, you know, it's a Jennifer Kramer film, but she did, you know, we did meet with her, and we used her camera girl. That
her whole
did,
crew, her whole team.
her whole crew.
Yeah.
We already knew the crew anyway,
Yeah.
and we became great friends with Linda and her husband, and so it was a real natural thing to introduce Jennifer, and she was so gracious to give Jennifer that opportunity by giving her all of her things. But with Jennifer, she listened to Jennifer. Jennifer was the head of her own film.
Right.
And,
Yeah, it was her first movie ever that she even made.
And then she worked
yeah.
with, we got our own editor, because most editors don't want to have a director or filmmaker breathing down their neck. But Jennifer said, no, it's my film. I work with the editor on every shot of this film. And so she did.
Let's call Jennifer up. Get her over.
I want you, I think you'll find she's a very interesting, well, I think, of course, I'm her mother, but I think I'm very proud of my daughters because they're very focused. They're very about the work. I know Catherine does a lot of red carpet, but it's a tool.
It's all a marketing
It's
tool.
all a
you know,
marketing tool. It's not something she aspires to do.
It
It's just-
helps a lot because you are, you know, right now it's like what your social media handles are and what your, you know, star meter is and what your, you know, social media following and producers really look at that.
Mhm. And so it's
yeah.
a tool, but none of us really enjoy that particularly. You know, it's just something that's part of the business you have to do. I think it
Yeah.
helps. Everything you can do helps actually. So we keep pretty active.
But my goal right now is to be on Grace and Frankie, the final season.
Yes.
I've been waiting for 7 years, so we'll see if there's anything that pops up.
Well, you put it
I'll do
out there.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
that's
she's
my
put it out
dream.
for
yeah.
sure. She's put it out there. Believe me, many times. We'll see. I hope it comes true. For her.
So
It would be
fingers
great.
crossed.
She loves that show, and that's just really a big part of her life. Lily's been very good to her too. Lily Tomlin's been very good to Kathy.
Yeah.
So,
What-
but she's
what-
not passing.
What is,
Yeah.
what do you, this is a question to both of you. What do you want the most at this moment in your life?
Well, that would be the main thing right now. I mean, like at this moment, because it's the final season, so it's now or never.
Right.
There's a lot of other things, but I mean, you just want one that's a now or never. That would be one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd
Yeah.
like COVID to get a hold of itself and
Yeah.
get vaccinated. People get vaccinated, and so we can have a life because there's no life this way. And me being of a certain age, you know, I'm not allowed. In fact, Jennifer has become my mother now. It happens to you. When you get to be a certain age, your children suddenly become your parents. They don't let me do anything, and particularly Jennifer. So, you know, I'd like to see that for the world. That's really my main interest is in helping that. And of course, you know, the legacy of Stanley, the legacy of what we need to be doing with like Black Lives Matter, with global warming, with all the issues that are even more prevalent now because they've come to the surface. I'm glad of that in a way. That's important that they have come to
Yeah.
our attention. But there's just so much work to do. And so we're about doing that as much as anything else. You know, that's kind of first on my list anyway.
I just love looking at you two. And I just see the mother-daughter or the mother-child, you know, of course you're not a child, but you're her child. And I just think of my mom, and that's where I'm at right now, and spending some amazing time with her.
That's right.
That'll mean everything to her. It'll mean everything.
And
to
you're
her,
up
baby.
in the Northwest,
California.
right? Oh,
Northern California.
I actually used to live in Oakland for a year myself.
Really? What were you doing up there?
I was studying with music up there, and just by my, with my grandma, but I was away from the family.
Yeah.
So I have roots up in the Bay Area. Yeah.
So your grandma lived in Oakland?
No,
No.
she just went up with me because they didn't want me to stay by myself. So I did that before we moved back here, actually.
Well,
So
we
it
were
was
living in
it was a
Seattle.
transition from New York and then back to Seattle. Then I was in Oakland, back to Seattle, and then here, and we've been here ever since.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's been an interesting life, I must say.
And I don't plan to leave Southern California. I'm finally used to it.
Yeah.
Earthquakes and all the problems, but
Well,
I
let's
don't
face
plan
it,
to.
it is the greatest place to live, let's face it. Even with
Yeah.
earthquakes, which, doesn't happen all the time.
Well, there's a
But,
lot of other problems here. There's a lot of problems with the city, but
There's a lot of problems
and the
everywhere,
state,
Kat,
though, the
not just
state,
here,
yeah,
but I think we're lucky to live here.
of Southern California,
Yeah,
or
it's a
just
beautiful
California
state.
in general, Northern Palm Springs, whatever. I don't want to leave the state of California.
And so you won't.
Yeah.
I hope once we get out of the quarantine that you both will come and join us at Performing Arts Studio West. I
I
know.
want to so much.
Oh,
I
you've
just
never been
love-
there. It's amazing. And what they're doing right now is they're, getting new carpet, new this, new that. And once the students and the actors and the singers and the dancers are back, it's going to slowly. We're going to take it slow, but and when it's safe. But I think
When
you'll
do you
love
think
it.
that'll be?
Well, we would. And David, what's interesting to me is look how far we've come with the disabilities. I mean,
Yeah.
we've come such a distance. Of course, it started on Broadway, I think, originally, the last few years with
Mhm.
Broadway. Spring Awakening
Right.
That
started
was
that.
just with Deaf West, though.
And,
What about all the other movies and other projects?
Yeah, but all of them. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's coming
Yeah.
along. And now there's movies being made about the deaf actors getting a chance to really act. And all the things you started, you were the one that was the beginning of it. And we learned a lot of things from you.
Well,
And,
thank you. It's interesting how for you, I was the beginning.
You
And
were.
it was interesting because for me, there were, it was Gail at the Media Access Office and Gloria. And then, one thing that I love to do is connect people and just bring everybody together, working with Joey Travolta, working with Mary Rings from Born to Act players, working with Alyssa Wolf, Actors for Autism, and now, Performing Arts Studio West, and bringing all of this at the Screen Actors Guild, the Writers Guild, at Jane, at the Lily Tomlin, Jane Wagner Theater. So,
But that's why I'm saying, look how far we've come. Look how far you've come, and the attention that people are really paying attention now. So for that, we should all be
I
very
really
grateful.
spread awareness about it at the LA LGBT Center, and
Oh yeah, she does a lot. on
and
this,
I
yes.
told them to do more with everything, So hopefully that will be in the future. That'll be continued on. Yeah.
thank
It's so
you.
great to have a performing arts center, though. I mean, I know it's been there for a while, but it's the fact that it's reopening and being redesigned post-pandemic there's got to be like a grand opening,
Yeah,
right? You have like a red carpet opening,
there has to be.
ribbon cutting or something.
Yeah. Now, one last thing from either of you. Anything you want to say about anything?
I'm also in this movie called Mother's Day Memories that we didn't talk about, and it's about Alzheimer's and the effects of Alzheimer's disease on families. And it's a short film, but it won a lot of awards and it got a lot of attention. And it's kind of like the leading short film, or should be, on the subject of Alzheimer's. So I don't want to forget that. And Teach Your Children Well, that Lily narrates about LGBTQ bullying in the schools, and school violence is having its 10th anniversary in October. So I'd like to put something together with that. And
I can't believe it's 10 years already.
10 years, can you believe
Can
it?
you believe it? I can't. It goes so fast.
So maybe with the series or with something, there's something we could do virtually or hybrid, in person. I'd like to have some kind of an anniversary screening around it to recognize it, because it's such an important tool. And, schools are just now embracing it. And I was dealing with a group in Atlanta, Georgia, and they were just, having a panel about the bullying crisis. And, what kids and teens go through, and I sent them this film and opened their eyes to it. So it really is, now's the time.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think I have anything really that I would like to add to anything I've already said, but I just I'm very grateful for a lot of things in my life, and I'm very grateful that I've been able to be lucky enough to be in this industry, which can inspire people to make change in their life, and to embrace the unacceptable people that they think are so unacceptable and have disabilities. I'm very grateful that we've come a long way, and I look at that. I don't think we look back and see how far we've come as often as we need to. But and I'm very proud of my children. I really am, because they are, you just never know how your children are going to turn out, no matter how much time you give them. But to be involved with social issues as Kat is, and Jennifer as well, even in her film, they're all about social issues. This one about the Rachmaninoff is about trauma, and of course, if you don't get help if you have trauma, it can ruin your life, as it does this character in her film. So I don't tell them that. It's just in their DNA, and they just do it. And I really, really am grateful for that.
Mm.
So I'm grateful to still be here after all these years, at 87. So anyway, and thank you, dear David, for having us.
Thank you.
It was this is the yes, you know what that is.
Right. Thank
so
you
much.
both. Thank you.
Enjoy your mom. Give her a big hug for me.
I will.
Please do.
And the two of you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. God bless.
Bye.
Keep them safe, keep them warm, give them shelter from the storm. Bless the beasts and the children, for in this world they have no voice, they have no choice. Bless the beasts and the children, for the world can never be the world they see. Light their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the beasts and the children, give them shelter from the storm. Keep them safe, keep them warm. Light their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them love, give them love. Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. No one's gonna hurt you, no one's gonna dare. Others can desert you, not to worry, whistle. I'll be there. shelter from the storm. Nothing's gonna harm you. No, not while nothing's gonna harm you. Not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm